Hi there, this is Josh from Literary Gladiators, and today I am here to introduce to you the 18th Foodie Book Tag. We are almost finished with the October 2018 triathlon, and I thought that a triathlon cannot be a triathlon without a new Foodie Book Tag. And this is going to be the Preserves Book Tag. Preserves are something that I'm honestly not huge of an enthusiast for. I don't eat jam or jelly. I haven't had it in over 20 years. I had a peanut butter and jelly sandwich 22 years ago. That was the very last time. I was 4 years old. Realized I didn't like them. But what picked up my interest in the information about different kinds of preserves was a feature in the almanac that Cracker Barrel put together. And it sorted out all different kinds of preserves: jelly, jam, conserves, marmalade, fruit butter, and specifically what each of them was. And between that and the way that Wikipedia, which usually is a frowned upon source, but in this case really did a decent job sorting out the different kinds of preserves served, I thought that a foodie book tag would be an interesting idea. So let's begin. The first one is chutney. It's a more savory kind of preserve that is familiar in Indian cuisine. But the question I put together is a work you found to be sassy and straightforward. And for that one, I chose The Martian by Andy Weir. I think that this is the definition of sassiness and straightforwardness, brutal honesty in a work of literature. Can't ask for anything more from Mark Watney. The way that he tells it like it is while he's on Mars. He calls things as he sees them. It's not necessarily technicality after technicality. He reminds us that humor and entertainment are necessary building blocks when it comes to surviving and keeping your sanity, but especially surviving. Next one is Confit, which Confit is known as being the result of the jam that you find in the grease and oil of a meat product, most notably duck. But there's also fruit confit as well. For confit, because of its greasiness, the question I put together is a work that gave you a greasy, grimy, grisly, perspiration-induced feeling. And it can be interpreted in so many ways, but in particular, I went with war poetry, in particular Wilfred Owen's poetry, but even more specific, I went with Dulce et Decorum Est, which the fact that it is set in a hectic, skirmish-induced situation where you're crouched in a trench. It's just such a grimy, uncomfortable, claustrophobic feeling that I can't even imagine how that would have to feel, and have your life on the line all at one time. Next one is Conserve. the oldest work you read that you feel is relevant to today. And for that one, I went with Aesop's Fables, because I feel that each of the morals within his fables can definitely be applied to our general way of thinking, and the fables themselves are just oh so clever. Next one is Fruit Butter, a work you felt was rightfully reworked to make accessible. And for that, I had to go with The Phantom of the Opera by Gaston Leroux. And the fact that the play remains on Broadway for 30 years' time is a testament of the fact that it had to have done something that strayed away from the original story itself. To be quite honest, I've never watched The Phantom of the Opera on Broadway. Yeah, it's probably something I need to do, but this was a very dry and very slow work. It really didn't do much to attract my attention. And I think that there are plenty of examples where works have been able to people were able to freshen up works in order to make them more appealing, because this really was just okay as a piece itself. Next one is Fruit Curd, a source you have used to help you better understand a work. And to me, that helpful source, especially throughout college, was the Shakespeare plays that that Kane University's online library had to offer. They had every play acted out, and I feel that watching Shakespeare's plays is far more helpful than actually reading them, because of I think that Shakespeare is more about his poetic language than he is about plot. So being able to visualize things taking place is essential. It actually also made me second guess my reading of plays, but I've begun to read and enjoy more plays, and I'm hoping to go over some more on our channel, but I think that being able to overlook Shakespeare's plays can definitely do that. Next one is Jan, a writer who shows and tells without issue. And I say that because a writer is, if a great writer can show and tell and there's not much of an issue, that is kudos on them, even though writers are encouraged to show and not tell. But jam is one of those things where you can have both the peels and pieces of the fruit and the liquid jelly-like byproduct as well. But I chose John Steinbeck, and in particular The Grapes of Wrath, because he was able to convey a very powerful and meaningful story while at the same time giving us each and every detail, and also alternating between the story and describing the setting and sharing other necessary details as well, or what he finds as necessary details. And the same can be said about East of Eden, because it's written very similarly in how he sets up the background. Next one is Jelly, A genre you binge when you want to relax. And while I would say horror is my go-to, I also find that comic books have been I like to turn to comic books when I just want to make my way through as much reading as possible, while at the same time not really having to worry about the analysis and the preparation for anything else that comes with it. Even though we are probably, even though the graphic texts are going to be something we go over as well in the future. Some of them I will not be taking part in, some of them I will be. Anything having to do with Batman and Spider-Man and their universes is bound to attract me, though. Next one is Marmalade. A sharp work of British literature, and the main contrast between jam and marmalade is that marmalade is primarily composed of citrus fruits. But for that one, I chose Dover Beach by Matthew Arnold. I think that he does such an extraordinary job being able to cleverly personify nature. And it's just so extraordinary to the point that it warranted my British Literature 2 paper. And I will make note that the runners-up for questions 1 and 8 for Chutney and Marmalade was the importance of being earnest, because of how clever Oscar Wilde is with being straightforward and sassy. The same can be said about The Picture of Dorian Gray. Next one is Cranberry Sauce, a work you have read and associate with a holiday. And I would think that when it comes to Christmas, the short stories Vanka by Antoine Chekhov and Heavenly Christmas Tree by Fyodor Dostoevsky really resonate with me as being dreary and depressing underbellies to Christmas. But it also makes us realize how important it is that we appreciate the blessings that we have, and those kind of it's that whole feeling that I get with The Night of the Meek, where even in a dreary situation, there's always that sense of hope. Next one is, what is your favorite preserve? I don't eat preserves. I don't eat jam or jelly. But I do, I would say that if, depending on the way in which Confit is being served, I would say I would be guilty that I think that meat grease can be quite delicious, but even if it's frowned upon. And the next one is, who do you tag? And the people that I'm going to be tagging 16 people, because it has been quite some time since I've done a foodie book tag. It's been 4 months. So I'm going to tag Steve from Steve Donahue, Mark from Richardson Reads, Kara from Wild Book Garden, Rebecca from Rapacious Reads, Eston from Earnestly Eston, Taylor from T. Reads, Rishmika from Rishmika Likes Books, Christy from Bookham Christie, Sue and Megan from Spinebreakers, Adrian and Dalton from Strip Covered Lit, Dane from Dane Reads, Marita from Ruby Soup with Pearl Juice, Hannah from Snow White and the Seven Shelves, Alyssa from Pucks and Paperbacks, Laura from Laura Pora, and Intellectual Reads. And I'm going to do my best to put together 2 more foodie book tags for the year of 2018. I have one that's in construction, and ideally I'd like to have one more. I definitely have an idea. I have ideas for at least 2 that are in formation, and a list of at least 50 different kinds of food that I can create a foodie book tag with, or ideas, however you want to put it. Thank you for tuning in to the 18th Foodie Book Tag. I hope you check out some more videos from our channel. We have 2 more triathlon videos and plenty of more in store for the month of November on our channel. Primarily an appearance from retired rabbi and mystery writer Eileen Schneider, who's going to appear on our panel, and Danielle from This Is Danielle will be making a few appearances on our panel as well. And for now, keep reading.